I'm in a Rebel. Get the hell out of my way. See, when you're in trucks like this, you just have to feel like you own the road. Hey everyone, Bama Cooley here. Welcome back to the channel. I'm standing next to the 2025 Ram Rebel. Ram's made some changes with the engine and with some of the cosmetics, but we're going to see how it stacks up and compares to the Trail Boss and Trimmer. So come on, let's go. All right, the first thing you notice about this is definitely a Ram. It's got the same general shape, but there are some subtle differences. Ram went in and changed the LED headlight design. They made them a little bit smaller. You also got the LED fog lamps here. You got the steel bumper with the tow hooks, and they went ahead and changed the design of the grille. So you got Ram here, and this is fully functional, sucking in fresh air here and here to feed this new twin turbo 3-liter engine that we'll talk about a little bit later. Coming up to the top, you got this massive bulge right here, which is very aggressive looking. So, you know, anybody that might have some type of inferiority complex, you can always, you know, here's my bulge. You don't need any socks or anything, so don't worry about that. You have fully functional vents here, heat extractors right here. Coming around over here to the side, here you got more heat extractors. You also have 1500 SST, and we'll go over what that SST means here in a little bit once we talk about the engine and the actual performance of this vehicle. All right, coming over to the side, you have 33-inch Goodyear Wranglers wrapped around 18-inch wheels. The wheels are black. I think it's a pretty good look. Of course, you got black fender flares here. This is the metallic black that Dodge has. I think it's a good look. This vehicle also has the Bilstein shocks, and they're hard to see. I try to get them on some of the B-roll. They do have the Bilstein shocks in each of the wheels for off-road capability, and they did raise this up an inch. So it does have an inch lift, so it's not like the normal 1500. So the total ground clearance on this is 9.1 inches, which I would have to see how it compares to the Trimmer. Obviously, you know, if you go TRX or Raptor, those are, you know, 12, 13 inches of ground clearance, but those are different trucks in a different class. This is more in the Trail Boss as well as the Trimmer class of trucks, and so they're not necessarily the Baja trucks and the Super Duty off-roading trucks, but they do have the off-roading capability, and 9.1 inches for most people is probably pretty good anyway. So coming around to the back, of course, you got the blacked out Ram here. You got your side steps here. These, you got the extending telescopic mirrors here, which are really wide, so you can get extra visibility here. As you come on around to the back, of course, you see the Goodyear Wranglers again, and you see the Rebel decal here. Now, I've seen different colors of the Rebel. I saw a red where this was in the black, and it really popped. And plus, it was the two-tone, right? So you had the red up top, and then you had the black going across the bottom. With this being black, I would almost want these letters red, because I would want it to stick out. I'd want, you can see it, it does stand out, but I would want these, at least, if not this part, at least the letters actually red, so it says, everybody knows you're in a Rebel. Everybody knows you're in an off-road truck. Everybody knows you're in the next class up on the 1500, but maybe I just want to show off, so who knows. All right, coming around to the back, Ram did redesign the LED taillights here, so that's a new design. You come here, you see 4x4, big Ram written across here. Of course, you got your backup camera here. This does have a full 360-degree camera system, so you can feel safe with that, whether you're parking, backing up, whatever you need to do. You got Rebel right here going across, and of course here you got your trailer hookups here, and you got two massive exhaust pipes back here. Now, this is a turbocharged V6, so it's not going to sound like a V8. No one's going to claim that, but that is a good look with the exhaust pipes there. Of course, there's the tailgate. You do have the spray-in bed liner here. You do have some LED lights back here. You also have 115-volt plug-in back here, and the tailgate is very light. All right. Let's go check out the inside. All right, coming around the back, you see the black soft top material. You see the red going here. So I do like the two-tone coloring scheme here. You got your red stitching here. Of course, you got your speakers, tons of storage back here. You got your Ram floor mats, and you've got your seats, cloth and leather back here. So one of the things Ram does well is the interiors. And so we're going to crawl back here and see what this one's like. tons of room back here. Massive amounts of room. Of course, you got your vents here, you got a little storage, you got your cup holders, and you got the red back on the seats, which I think is a good look. There you go, you got your cup holder armrest. And we even have storage underneath these seats. The seats actually do fold up, and there is a storage bin under there. So Ram definitely knocked it out of the park with how much storage, and you'll see even more storage when we get up to the front. But you can never knock Ram for the interiors. I think when it comes to the interior, and you'll see even more up front, they're usually a step above the competition in that. All right, before we get into the front, here's the key fob. Of course, you got lock, unlock, remote start, tailgate drop, and then on the back, you have Ram. I think they should have put a Rebel right here in red, but you know, they didn't call and ask me, so. All right, up here in the front is really nice. Of course, on the doors, you still have the same two-tone with the red and the black. Very nice materials and stitching. Of course, you got your memory seats, you got your automatic windows, you got your locks. Coming over here, I mean, it's pretty standard stuff. You got your automatic or your electric pedal controls. You got your lights on the steering wheel. It's a very comfortable feeling steering wheel. I would want it maybe a little bit thicker, but you got red stitching going on it. Definitely black this out. We discussed that before. I like the way it is in the TRX. And of course, you got your cruise control, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist. You got your drive modes. So on the drive modes, you can go off-road, auto, snow, towing, or sport. Obviously, we'll be driving this probably in off-road and in sport. And of course, you got, you know, this is a 12.3-inch digital display. They've upgraded this from previous, and it pairs with the 14-inch infotainment center here. And just look at this. I mean, I think they definitely outdo Ford and Chevy when it comes to this. So if I wanted to go to, let's see, vehicle, dashboard, off-road pages, there's your coolant temps, your oil pressures, battery voltage, what altitude we're at. Here you go, vehicle dynamics. That tells you your steering angle, whether your transfer case is locked, if you got the rear axle locked. There's your pitch and roll. And of course, you know, from here you can go to the home page. You got your phone, vehicle, apps, navigation. You got your limited slip differential here. Of course, you got your trailer brake here. On this knob is, you know, park, reverse, neutral drive, and you got your 4 auto, 2-wheel. This does have 2-wheel, unlike the TRX. 4 high, 4 low, and here you can lock your rear axle. So it is very well laid out. I do like the technology for the money that they are putting into this. Of course, up here you got another 12 volt. You got 2 wireless car chargers here for your phones, which I think is pretty cool. And you got 4 USBs right here, plus an auxiliary. Of course, you got your Ram emblem here. And this thing is just, this thing is like a cavern. Like seriously, you could put like 2 bags of crystals in here, like no joke. And tons of storage. You got your cup holders here. I mean, this thing is just massive. Coming over here, of course, you got your upper glove box, more stitching going across here. You got the Rebel badge there, which I like. You got your traditional glove box here. Yeah, it's just definitely a good vehicle. This does not have the panoramic sunroof on this particular package, and it doesn't have the video camera on this. This is a cheaper package, but those are options that you can definitely get. But overall, it's definitely a very good look, and I think Ram always does a great job when it comes to the interiors, how they're laid out, the materials they use, the technology they put in for the money. That's one of their biggest selling points. All right, here's the power plant. Under here you got the Hurricane engine, which is a 3-liter twin turbo cranking out 420 horsepower and 469 pound-feet of torque. It definitely has more torque than the Hemi. Does have more power. You get about 24 miles to the gallon on the highway and about 17 in the city for a combined of about 20 total. And so this is the new power plant that Ram is going with. Obviously in the fall the RHO is coming out with the high output engine, which is 540 horsepower, 3.5 liter twin turbo. We'll definitely review that when it comes out. But overall, this power plant provides enough horsepower and enough torque for anything most people are going to be willing to do with this Rebel, whether it's light off-roading, moderate off-roading, just using it as a daily driver, using it as a work truck. It's definitely a fun truck to drive. It's got plenty of pickup, and we'll go over that when we actually do the driving portion. Now, one of the things that Ram did here, which I think will help performance versus Chevy and Ford, is that the intercoolers for the turbos are air and water. They're air to water intercoolers. So whereas Ford is air to air, Chevy is air to air. Now, the air to airs are lighter and they're cheaper and they're easier to install, but they also keep the air warmer. They don't cool it down as much as the air to water. These are the air to water, so it's going to keep the temperatures down going into the air in the engine a little bit cooler, which is going to help performance. Now, the downside of that is, like I said, they're more expensive. You got more plumbing in here. You know, theoretically, the more plumbing you got, the more space it takes up, the more something that could go wrong with it. But I think for this particular application, it's going to really help, and it's really going to help when the RHO comes out. So you're not going to have to worry so much about how hot it gets and how much all that hot air is going to be decreasing your performance. That's going to be able to help it out just a little bit. As far as 0 to 60, I haven't seen a good time on this. Knowing what I know about the Tremor and its horsepower and torque in this is a 5,100 pound vehicle. I would say this probably does 0 to 60 in the upper 5s, maybe low 6s. To go along with this power, this does have a lot of traditional truck capability. This will tow a little over 11,000 pounds. I think it's 11,100. And it's got a payload of about 1,600 pounds. Now, this is lower than the traditional F-150 of like 1,900 pounds of payload and maybe 15,000 pounds of towing. But that's because these have the Bilstein shocks, and it's got the off-road suspension with the off-road tires, and so that lowers the towing capability. However, if you're towing more than 11,000 pounds, you don't need a damn Rebel anyway, so it's neither here nor there. That's plenty of towing capacity. I'm in a Rebel, get the hell out of my way. See, when you're in trucks like this, you just have to feel like you own the road. So as far as road driving, and I drove this on the way here before we even started filming, it's a very smooth riding truck on the road. And I thought it handled the bumps back there on the little off-road trail fairly well too. Like I said, I know there's a lot of angst from Ram fanboys about getting rid of the Hemi. Times change, things evolve. You know, this being a turbo inline 6, you might be able to tune this better than you can tune what you could tune the Hemi. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is 420 horsepower if you could get 600 horsepower out of this with a good tune and maybe running an E50 blend on it. So it definitely cranks out, to me, more performance than the Hemi. You still get 24 miles of the gallon on the interstate, and you get 17 in the city. So they say, I mean, real world applications, nobody does 70 on the interstate. You're doing 80 or 85, so you're not going to get 24. But it does set up fairly high. I feel like I have a good presence on the road. Air conditioner is really good. I like the overall look. I like the black interior with the red accents. I like this red accent here. I like the red accent you got going on right here around the steering wheel. Instead of black, make this red. Make this Ram the same color as this accent right here. Ram, if y'all are, I'm more than happy to consult with y'all and give y'all some tips on what y'all should be doing to some of these accents. Everybody knows what kind of truck I have and what I own, and you know, this is the first time I've driven a 1500 Rebel, and I'm glad it's the 25 version where they've made some of the changes and they put the new motor in it, but I could see myself driving this as a daily driver. In the next generation, they might want to put 35-inch tires on it instead of the 33s. I think it would make it more intimidating. You raise it up a little bit more and give it a full 10 inches of ground clearance instead of the 9.1, which I'm sure some people who buy this will do that aftermarket anyway, but I'd rather do something like that straight from factory instead of aftermarket. But if you're doing light to moderate off-roading and using it as a daily driver, this is plenty of truck with plenty of power. Now, I say that now, I haven't driven the high output engine yet. That's going to be on Bailey's homework list to make sure I get into an RHO this fall, as soon as they come out, so I can test that 540 horsepower engine. But this is definitely plenty for 95% of most people. Steering is good. It's not too loose and it's not too tight. I am in sport mode, so I don't know if that's tightened up the steering any, but I think it definitely feels good too. This is a big truck, and that's one thing I'm driving. It's a big truck, but it's not super big. Like, you can tell it's a lot smaller than the TRX. You know, it's not near as wide. It's a little bit more maneuverable. Like the turning radius on it was a lot tighter.
But I feel like the inside, you still kind of have the same feel
as
the TRX.
Yeah.
You know, you don't feel like you're getting squished or...
No, you got plenty of space. Well, the inside's probably about the same size. It's just that the TRX is like, you know, they got the big wide flares coming out and...
A little more muscle.
Yeah, muscle looking. And the whole stance is just... And it's on 35, so it's going to be higher, right? So... I'm interested to see what the wind noise and road noise is once we're doing about 70. But I do like how the stitching and how this is laid out. And this isn't like the MSRP on this particular one is $68,000. And there's some other options you can get with this. You can put the full panoramic sunroof on it. They also make them where you get heated back seats, and you can put charging ports back here. They have it where, of course, you can turn this into the camera. So you could probably drop about another $3 or $4 grand in options to really deck this out, you know, fully load it. And you'd probably be looking at about $73,000, which puts it on par with a Trail Boss and a Trimmer and that category of truck. But this is, the interior of this, even in the base like this, is much nicer than the interior of a Trimmer, in my opinion. And I like the Trimmer. I've driven the Trimmer several times. I love the Trimmer. But Ram, like I said earlier, Ram definitely takes it a notch above when it comes to the interior as well as the technology. It's not bad. It took a split second for the turbos to kick in, which it's a 93-degree day, so turbos hate hot weather. But it took a split second, and then once they kicked in, we were able to merge and get in front of that 18-wheeler. I thought it was fairly good.
Yeah. Kind of shot me back a little bit right now.
Yeah, it's got, and I was doing 70 or 68 when I floored it there, and it still had enough punch on the top end that you could feel it. I don't think that the road noise is that bad either, or the wind noise.
No, and it's smooth too.
Because usually with off-road tires, you pick up more road noise because they're not all-terrain tires. You pick up more road noise just because of how the tires are built. But there's no problem with that. It's not like you're going to have to crank up the radio super loud. I bet you could tune this though, if they haven't cracked the code already. Tuners, I bet that you could tune this and get this cranked up to over 500 something horsepower, maybe close to 600, and it wouldn't be that much slower than the TRX because it's about 1,600 pounds lighter than the TRX. And the TRX are pushing 35-inch tires, where these are pushing 33s. It wouldn't be too much slower, if any slower at all, than a TRX at that point. By the time you paid for the tune and do everything, and whatever version of this you get, you'd end up about $50,000 cheaper than a TRX. All right, everybody, we're heading back to the dealership. We did some street driving with red lights. We did a little bit of interstate driving so you could see the acceleration and how the pickup and go on this, and we're going to take it back to the dealership and do the closing. So we'll see y'all in a bit. And overall, I think this is a very capable truck. It can definitely be a daily driver for anybody. Special shout out to my friends here at Hendrick Dodge Jeep and Chrysler. This truck is available. Be sure to see DeAndre Wisnant. If you're interested in this vehicle or any other vehicles they have here, his information will be over to my right, and follow the videos over to my left. And remember, if you catch yourself in the back roads of Tijuana and you have a fun car or truck to drive, go ahead and give it the business and have a good time with it. We'll catch y'all next time.